the hat I modeled, right? And I'm going to show you a couple different ways to make display cases for it. So yeah, so the first one I'm going to do something really simple. I'm just going to do kind of like steps that lead up to it. So I'm going to keep this one here. I'm going to copy it. So I'm going to type in copy, hit enter, and we can copy it from here to here. I'm going to work on a new layer. So I'm going to go down here on the green layer so that I can see what I'm doing nice and easily. Okay, so for my first one, I think I just want like the platform to kind of nicely fit the hat, and then I want it to come down like 1 inch per thing. So I'm going to go my top view, and I'm going to draw a rectangle that fits the hat pretty well. So I'm going to come over here, starting here, and I want to try to do nice whole numbers. I'm going to put ortho on so that I can draw straight. So if I come here, it looks like I'm at about 8¼ inches. So I'm going to go to 9 inches, hit enter, and then click. And then I'm going to come down here, and I'm reading down like in this, right in here, this corner, you can see about how far you've gone. So here I'm at 1 foot 1 inch. So I'm going to make it, can I just do 1 inch? I'm going to do 1 foot to try to keep my numbers even and click. Then I'm going to hover over here and bring this down and close off that rectangle. I'm going to move this a little bit just so I can see. So it fits my hat really well, right? It's like a purposefully, I'm thinking about the dimensions, making sure the hat fits very well on that platform. Next thing I'm going to do, I want it to step down from here, so I'm going to offset this rectangle. So I'm going to type in offset, and I'm going to offset it 1 inch, and I'm going to do at least 2 steps. I'm going to do 1, and then I'm going to do it 1 more time. So I select this one and offset it out. Okay, so now I have my 3 steps. The first one is going to come up 1 inch. So I'm going to extrude curve 1 inch, hit enter. Then the next one, and now I can kind of look in 3D so I can see what I'm doing. So that one's there. I want to make sure, oh, I have extrude both sides on, so I'm going to redo that. So Control Z, I'm going to select the outside one and type in extrude curve. Over here, I have this thing on that says both sides yes. I'm going to turn that off so it just says both sides no. And then I'm going to come up and extrude it 1 inch, hit enter. Okay, so then my other 2 lines that I can kind of see in here, just barely, I select both of them by clicking shift, and now I'm going to move them up. So I'm going to type in M, enter for move, and I'm going to move them from here up to here. I'm turning off project here. And then I'm using the side of my box to make sure I'm coming up exactly 1 inch. So like my starting point was the corner, and then here I'm coming up 1 inch, and I click. So now those are on the surface of this. Okay, so for my second box, I'm going to select the outside one. I'm going to extrude it again. Extrude curve, and I'm going to come up 1 inch. So I'm typing it in, and it went down. So I'm going to try again. So I'm going to kind of like move my mouse up to begin with so I know what direction it wants to go in, and then type in 1 inch and enter. Okay, so now that's in the right place. Now I'm going to select my last line here. I'm going to type in M, enter to move it. I'm selecting this point on my box as the starting point. This one is the finish point. And now I'm going to extrude it, extrude curve. And I'm going to make sure I move my mouse up a little bit and make it 1 inch. Okay, so now I have these kind of steps. I need to move my hat up a little bit. So I can select the 2 pieces of my hat, make sure my gumball's on down here. And then I can move my hat a little bit up, right? So that I make sure that it's right on top of that platform. Let's say I wanted to get a little bit fancier here. So this is my first platform, my first design, right? It's just a little platform for my hat. Let's say I want to make sure that the hat is going to be at an angle. So I want to design something that's going to fit it at an angle. So the first thing I'm going to do is grab my hat. I'm going to move it so it's kind of in its own little zone over here. And that way, when I look at it in this view, it's not overlapping anything. When I look at it in right view, it's not overlapping anything. I'm going to look in perspective view. Look, I'm all clear. I don't see multiple hats. It's just one hat. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do in right view is rotate it the way I want it to look. So I'm going to type in rotate. And I'm going to say I want it to be maybe at like this much of an angle. I'm going to move it up a little bit. Okay. And now I'm going to think about the shape of what I want to hold it. So I'm going to grab my curve tool over here. So I'm holding down on here. I'm taking the second one that's called interpolate curves. And now I'm going to create kind of a curved shape to hold my hat. So I'm coming in here. I can turn off ortho to give me a little more flexibility. And so now I'm creating something that's really, really super custom fit to how I want my hat to fit. Maybe I need a little ledge here to kind of hold it in place. I can finish off this curve over here. So there's no hat here, so maybe here I just go straight. So I'm gonna get my polyline tool and let it be straight here. And then I'm gonna have it come straight this way and hold shift to keep it straight. Over here I overlap, so I wanna trim them so I can make it clean. So I'm gonna select both, type in trim, and I'm gonna delete this side, delete that side. Then I have this shape, I'm gonna press join and hit enter. Or actually, sorry, I have to get out the command first, so escape, escape. So I have this line and this line. I'm going to hit J, enter for join, and now it's one closed curve. I can still modify this. So right now, this isn't really holding the tip well, so I can modify this. If I turn on points, I can type in points on, and then I can move these control points, they're called, to try to get this a little bit closer to the real tip of it. Okay. So if I look at this, it's not near my hat right now, right? I drew it on this plane, so I'm gonna move it so it's right next to my hat. So I'm gonna go in top view and move it over. And then I'm going to just do an extrusion again. So here I can type in extrude and I can bring this over. So let's say though that I don't want it to, you'll notice that like right now it's not working on all of my hat because the hat kind of has a different shape as it goes, right? So I want to make this so that it gets smaller on either end. So I'm going to go here. I'm going to do a scale 1D to get the size about right this way from here to here. I'm going to bring it in. Okay, and now I want to figure out, like, I think I actually want to make it smaller on either end. So I'm going to, basically I need the edge here and I need to offset it so I know what size that's going to be. I think that's the best way to do this. Yeah, okay. So I'm going to type in dupe border and select this thing, hit enter. And now I have a curve here. I'm going to offset it. And I'm going to offset it. Let's just do 1 inch to the inside. And so if I look back at this over here, I want to make sure the bottom is still the bottom. So I'm going to select this point and this point, hold shift to select both, and I'm going to move those down to the bottom because I still want the bottom to be the bottom. So it's going to make sure in 3D that I'm still doing the right thing. I need to project it to C-plane because I didn't have my project button on. So I'm going to hit Control Z a second. When I'm working, I usually want to have project on so that I don't do what I just did. So over here, I'm going to go in right view and I'm going to move these points back up. Okay. And now I'm going to copy this over the other side. So type in copy, and I'm going from here to here. Okay, so now I'm going to do loft command. So I delete this shape. That shape helps me get where I wanted to go, but it's not my final thing. I want this shape to be in the middle. So I'm going to go back over here and move it in the middle. And then I'm going to type in loft. I'm going to select the first shape, then the second shape, then the third shape, and hit enter. Hit enter again. And I want to do a closed loft. And hit OK. And now I have this kind of like goofy shape that holds my hat. And it's still not quite right. I still need to try to edit it a little bit. So maybe a different way to do it. I can delete this. I could make each of these just like a, or I could make just this the main thing that's holding the hat. So maybe I just extrude it less. So I'm going to extrude it. I'm going to do both sides. And I'm just going to bring it out a little bit. So now the hat sits on it, but it's not going past the hat. I think that's probably a better solution for that. Okay, so I did my platform. I did my like side profile to give my little stand. Too fast, we're okay. Too fast, that's okay. We'll go back that one. Okay, last one. How about a box, right? So I'm gonna copy this one more time. I didn't. I'm gonna leave this one alone. So I just made it a smaller thing so it fits on there. Yeah. I realized that I forgot that we're making another chipboard, so I'm making this complicated shape and we won't be able to make it. What I was thinking was that we'd have this complicated shape. So maybe the end of this really is more like a, let me make one copy of this. So this is the complicated version of this one. So maybe we take this and we make the top curve a little bit different. So maybe it's more under the hat because I didn't really do that correctly. Okay, now I join that together. Project to C-plane, okay. Okay, so now this is one closed curve. So I'm making a slightly different one. So I could copy this. Okay, so if I did have a form that was like not all like straight sides that I wanted to make, I can make sections of it and then I can loft them. So loft, 1, 2, 3, and I enter. And then I can hit OK. And then since we are making this out of cardboard and I can't really make it that shape, I can use something called contour to make a whole bunch of layers that then we could just like cut out of cardboard and glue together. So the way that works is you type in contour, you select the object, and then you hit enter, then you tell it the base plane. So the base plane is going to be this way. And then you would tell it the distance between them. So if we're using cardboard, it would be 1/4 inch. And then what that basically did was it created a whole bunch of like outlines that I could then cut out of cardboard in order to like glue them together and make the crazy shape. So for those of you who are doing heads or want to do spheres, you can kind of like make your shape and then you slice it up and then you can cut those all out of paper and stack it. Okay, so we talked about doing plan extrusions. This one is basically a section extrusion, so it's drawing a section and then extruding it. This one is using a loft to make a crazy shape and then slicing it up. The last thing I saw a lot of people doing was like posts, right? So like you have a base and you have a post. So that's essentially also going to be just extrusions. So for that, right, even if it were circular, I would make my circle base. I might extrude this 1 inch because I need it to turn off both sides. I need to be at least 1 inch off the ground. And then I could make a line that goes from the middle of this. So I can put my center on down here and then make a line that starts at the middle. It's a little hard to get the center. You have to kind of hover over here to get it. Okay. And then I can kind of come up this way. I want to go into one of these views to help me draw straight up. And so then I would do whatever the height I want it to hang at. So let's say it's 4 inches or 6 inches. I would type in 6 inches. Then this I can pipe. So I can type in pipe. You give it a radius, so maybe that's like 1 inch. And then that starts to make that kind of like thing that you can hang something on. Or you can always like draw it from the side. So So that one was an extrusion and then a line and a pipe. If you wanted this to have a crazy shape, you have to think about it a little bit because you have to make it out of chipboard, right? So you might really be doing just the side drawing of it and then extruding it. So for example, I could be drawing in right view. So maybe I wanted to have this like really beautiful twirly shape for a hook. I want to finish it off so it has a flat bottom because I don't want to have something curved on the table. That won't really work well. I want to join those curves, and then I could extrude that 1/4 inch for the cardboard. And this one needed to be projected, so I can grab that line. Anytime you have something come out crazy because it's not flat, you can always go back to the drawing, type in project to C-plane, erase your initial objects, and then you can try extruding it again. Right, so that would be another way to make a hook that isn't round, but it would have that, at least that profile from the side. Okay, those are all the things I'm going to show now. When you do your drawings, we can look at